Welcome everybody to this week's podcast. And I have Sarah joining me today. Sarah is a fellow coach, only she has a number of other bits to her bow that I don't necessarily have yet. So we are, as always, having a very unstructured conversation. We're not quite sure the direction that it's going to go. But Sarah, do you want to start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about you?
Yeah, of course. So, hi everyone, I'm Sarah. Yeah, as Nikki said, I am a coach, but I do have a couple of other strings to my bow. So, I'm a learning and development consultant as well as a trainer and facilitator, and I specialize a lot in psychometrics. So, I'm trained in Clifton Strengths and MBTI. So, I have a real passion for understanding people and their sort of uniqueness. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, love it. I haven't really done much. I've read a few bits have you heard of Shazaz, what's his surname? I can't remember his surname, but he talks about positive psychology. So he has like seven different personality types. I mean, there's loads of different ones out there, isn't there? Like the reds and the
Exactly.
blues and the discs and the all of that kind of stuff. So what
Yeah.
what got you into psychometrics in the first place?
Yeah, great question. Because they're all just frameworks of
Yeah.
something to essentially help you understand yourself a bit better. What got me into it was probably, being completely honest, a lack of understanding who I was. I
Yeah.
think I've mentioned to you before, so I'm late diagnosed ADHD and have probably spent my entire life being a version of myself that I think other people want to see.
Mm.
So finding psychometrics and finding a way to, I suppose, authentically code who I am as a person has kind of helped me
Mm.
start to understand who it is, who I am behind my mask, behind that kind of facade that I put on for people. So
Yeah.
it was really a personal insight that got me into it. I was fortunate enough to be using it at work as well. Um, and loved seeing the transformation's a big word, so maybe the realization that people have. So when I would start talking about it and explaining it and kind of sharing the terms, I would get so many people going, oh, well, that's why I do that. And oh, that's why me and my partner have arguments, or that's
Yeah.
why this happens. And just that igniting that insight in someone and myself, that is just so powerful. Yeah, it gets me super excited.
Yeah, and it is really interesting, isn't it, to know like what your kind of default response is going to be. Once you're aware of that, and I was just coaching someone on this earlier, actually, it's not that then we're going to necessarily be able to stop that default, but with compassion, we can, I think, reduce the length of time we're in it. And
Yes.
so our goal is never to be like this perfectly composed human all the time, because that's just fucking impossible.
Yes.
Um, with that awareness, I think then comes a huge amount of control.
Yeah. And for me, it's all about the positive spin on it. So for a lot of like learning and development, historically has all been about what are your weaknesses and how do we improve them?
Yeah.
And for me, that never felt right. For me, it's
Yeah.
about what are the great, unique strengths that you have, and how do we use them more? How do we maybe use them in different situations? How do you, yeah, just try something different using a strength that you know you're good at in a
Yeah.
different environment, a different situation, see what happens. Like it's all about play, I guess, to an extent. Experiment with it. Once you know about it and you've got your framework, play with it and see how it works.
Yeah. So interesting. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about your kind of background, your history. I mean, we do only have like less than an hour. So it's not like, well, when I was five. But tell us kind of a little bit about your background and how you got to this point today, because you're in a transition,
Mm.
aren't you, now going from corporate into self-employment as a
Yes, yeah.
coach, psychometric and learning and development expert. So tell us a little bit about your journey to get here.
Yeah, it's a funny journey actually. So I'll start at university. I feel like that's far enough back.
Yeah.
I've got a degree in musical theatre,
Yes.
which is great, and I had the most amazing 3 years at university. But a career in musical theatre is incredibly hard and challenging to get into. You've got to be super talented. I'm talented, but I'm not super talented. And it's also financially tricky, right? You're always auditioning, trying to get stuff. And I really wanted something a little bit more consistent, I suppose, in terms of getting paid. So after university, I fell into HR. I was doing front of house actually at a hotel, and just they needed a trainer, someone to train the other receptionists, and turned out I was good at it. And I think the musical theatre skills helped because
Mm.
I was not afraid to stand up in front of a room of people and talk at them. And found I was pretty good at it. So it's one of those careers where I didn't anticipate that I would do HR and I would do learning and development, but it just kind of happened. I enjoyed it, I was good at it, and I kept going. So fast forward, I suppose, 10 years of doing various different HR roles for different companies. I started working at my previous employer, which was OVO Energy in Bristol. Amazing company to work for. I was looking at that point in my career for a company that cared about its people,
Mm.
and it ticked all the boxes. And the people I'd met and worked with have been amazing. But I started there in my HR field. So I was a HR business partner. I was doing all the disciplinaries. I was supporting the managers, dealing with absence, all of that great stuff. And when COVID hit, um, it gave me an opportunity to just take a pause and really think about what I was doing. Everything up until that point I've just fallen into and I'd just done. But actually, when I stopped and paused and thought, well, what do I enjoy about HR? What do I actually like about it? It really brought me back to it's the adding value to people.
Mm.
And a secondment came up in the learning team. And I just thought, why not? It's the perfect kind of thing to do. Um, and yeah, so I worked as a people development partner for the last 5 years, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and through that, lots of leadership development, lots of really exciting projects to kind of try my hand at designing e-learning, which is something I'd never done before. I actually learned a little bit about how to code because of using the platform. So that was an exciting skill to add to my string
Yeah.
set. But through all of that, I realized coaching was where my true passion lied.
Mm.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to train to become an accredited coach alongside the full-time job. And really, really enjoyed that. Loved the training. As part of the training, as you know, you do so many hours of coaching. And
Mm.
I just loved the range of it. I really enjoyed talking to people, hearing their stories. And I think my curiosity for understanding people,
Mm.
and kind of the transformation I went through in terms of that self-awareness, I think really made me really excited about it. And bringing us up to kind of to date where I am now. Last year, OVO was going through some organizational change and redundancy came knocking on my door. And I thought, "Do you know what? Now seems a good time. Why not take the redundancy and take all of the skills and knowledge that I've gained through all of my career and do something for myself and start working for myself?" So, big leap. I had lots of people say to me, "Gosh, you're brave." And I wasn't sure how to take that. Am I taking that in a amazing, well done, you're brave, or am I taking that as why do you think you can do this? Um, but it is a brave thing to do. It is a scary thing to do. I'm 4 months in to not having that regular paycheck, which is probably the scariest part of it. But I'm loving it so far.
That's so incredible. And it is amazing, isn't it? And I don't think many people talk about that sort of messy middle bit between that moment that you leave,
Mm,
having the fear of not actually knowing how your bills are going to be paid next month,
yeah.
leaning into faith that something will happen, releasing the I don't know how or what,
Yeah.
it is, it requires a lot of courage. And I think we hear a lot of stories from people who have made it and they're
Mhm.
looking back and telling us how they got there, which is great. But I think once someone's made it, you kind of lose a disconnect from them almost. And it would be lovely to hear more people talking about the fear and the for me and I mean I can't really speak for my husband, but because we're recently going through something similar. We don't have a steady income
Mhm.
now, and the shame that comes up, the self-doubt that comes up. I mean,
Mhm.
it's huge. And I'm so grateful to have the coaching skills that I've got that's enabled us to navigate those emotions
Mhm.
and knowing that that is part of the journey and that's kind of what you're signing up for. But I don't think you actually really know what it's going to be like until you're in it and living it.
100%. Yeah. I had my expectations. I had some preconceived ideas of what it would be like, and I'd already twigged that the transition was going to be hard.
Yeah,
So I work with a coach myself, and a
yeah,
lot of our sessions were focused around that. But you're right, until you're in it, it's really difficult to plan
yeah,
because you can't really plan. And yeah, the fear is one thing, but the other emotion that comes up for me is feeling lonely in it
yeah,
because you're actually, my family are all corporate jobs.
yeah,
My parents were job for life people.
mm,
Um, and, the majority of my friends are employed.
yeah,
And so there is that loneliness element as well
mm,
that comes with it. But finding other people like yourself and like other people I've connected with, finding other kind of solo entrepreneurs,
yeah,
that is the thing that kind of helps you push through that because otherwise it can be quite a lonely space to be in
mm,
when you're thinking, where's my next mortgage payment going to come from?
yeah, yeah,
And the answer is, I don't know yet.
yeah,
But having other people around you that have experienced that,
mm,
and maybe they are coming out of the other end or they're able to kind of share. I've had a few people sort of say to me, you need to give it a good year
yeah,
before you panic and give up. And there's been times, it's only been 4 months for me, but I would say maybe 2 or 3 times a month, I'm sort of going, oh, should I just get a job? I don't
yeah,
know if I can make this work. Um, but yeah, for me, finding a community of other people that have experienced that transition
yeah.
has helped me with that kind of feeling of being alone and sort of not knowing who to talk to about it.
Yeah. 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 Because
Mm.
I didn't actually consider that I would miss having work colleagues. I mean, I know you see
Mm.
clients, but it's completely a different
Yeah.
relationship. But I actually, and I was surprised that I miss going into an office and going, oh, how was your weekend? And
Yeah.
chatting to so and so in the kitchen. And not that you're ever necessarily best mates, but just having that frequency of connection with familiar
Mm.
people. I actually missed that. And I was surprised. I didn't think that was not even a consideration when I left my kind of
Mhm.
corporate job.
Interesting you say that because that was the biggest consideration for me.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think again that comes through like going back to the psychometrics things. My
Mm,
strengths are in building relationships, chatting to people, understanding
yeah.
individuals. I'm very much on the extroverted scale of things. I enjoy being around people, and
Yeah.
I anticipated that would be one of the things that I needed to build up quickly is
Yeah.
a replication community of work colleagues,
Mm,
or just really leaning into friends and family, making sure I'm getting that connection time.
yeah. Yeah. Which
Mm.
is, I mean, that's one of the bonuses of knowing yourself so deeply, isn't it? Having
Yeah.
the psychometrics done and knowing your personality types. And yeah, you can see that ahead of time.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything like that in a previous role. So it wasn't until sort of I left and started exploring coaching that I've done a couple of
Mhm.
bits, but nothing like seriously around that.
Yeah.
So tell me then what it's like with having your late ADHD diagnosis.
Hmm.
How does that affect, or how do you use that awareness so that you're able to go, right, okay, this is what I'm going to get done? Do you find it more challenging and like squirrel like? Like, tell me more about what it's like to be
Yeah,
a self-employed working woman with
with
ADHD.
ADHD, hard.
Mm,
Yeah, really hard work actually. Going from having a structure,
mm,
so having a 9 to 5, having team meetings on set days, and here's the goal that's been dictated from whoever down to me, and this is what I need to deliver. Going from having that structure, which is a funny thing for people with ADHD because I'm talking about myself here, but I've heard generalized. Typically, structure is good for us.
yeah.
It helps us focus, it helps our brain because that's something we struggle with, but also we hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, in particular, hate structure. I hate consistency. I like things to be different and changing.
Mm,
So, one of the pulls towards being self-employed is that it gives me that
mm,
because I could be working with multiple different clients. I could be yeah, working on different things. One day I could be doing a psychometrics, the next day it's a one-to-one coaching, the next day I'm consulting with a business on their learning needs. Like it really does give me that range. And I'm also meeting lots of different people.
mm,
Um, so I see it playing into that strength.
mm.
The flip side is I've lost accountability in terms of I no longer have a manager who's checking up to see if I've done what I've said I'm going to do. I now have to rely on myself for that. And so that's definitely been difficult.
Mm,
The freedom and flexibility of working when I want and how I want, I'm leaning into it because as part of the late diagnosis, I'm wanting to try and take my mask down and be more authentically me. And I know that I'm more creative in the evenings. I know that I am not a person that can be sat at a desk at 9 o'clock and be working. Um, I know that's the way I work better. But what I found really interesting is the guilt that I'm feeling for not being sat at my desk at 9 o'clock
interesting.
has actually, particularly in the last sort of couple of months, I've really, really noticed that. And it's an odd one because I could be sat here coaching myself and
Mm,
saying, well, you know that your brain really starts firing on all cylinders about 11 a.m. That's kind of your peak time. I know that in practice. I know that logically in my head,
yeah.
but I still feel guilty for not being sat at the computer at 9 o'clock. And it's
Yeah.
such an ingrained habit
Mm.
that it's
And by
really
9 o'clock, you
tricky.
mean 9 a.m. rather than 9
AM. I
p.m. Yeah.
do mean
Yeah.
9
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
checking. Yeah. And it is interesting, isn't it? Like getting out of that kind of conditioning that we should be like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And actually, one of the things that I have worked on is being okay, maybe not working at all on a Thursday, but then I might do something on a Saturday morning. Or, actually, if I'm inspired on a Sunday afternoon, I'll sit down and do something. And that is kind of the flexibility of having a choice once you've overcome that condition, which I think does get
Yeah.
quiet. I mean, well, it's got quieter for me anyway, because now,
That's lovely to hear.
yeah, now when my brain's like, it's 9 o'clock, we should be working. I'm like, oh, I could go for a swim in the river and start at 12. Let's,
Yeah.
because we do get to create a life we want once we're aware of how to have that conversation with
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely do see it as being a transition. I likened it, so in a coaching session I likened it to another transition, which was going from HR business partnering into L&D,
Yeah.
moving away from sort of firefighting type of role, where things come in, you deal with them straight away, into a role that allows you more freedom and time to do more thinking and really kind of get into a project and really think about a project before delivering on it. I struggled with that transition. So
Yes.
kind of knowing that about myself, I know that the transition is hard, but I know I can get through them because I
Yeah.
did do that transition. And that's another lovely thing about coaching, isn't it? To kind
Yeah.
of like, you're facing a challenge or a problem, but actually, when have you had something similar and how did you overcome it? Or what can you
Yeah.
learn from that to kind of
Yeah.
help? So I'm
Yeah.
putting all of those things in place to try and yeah, overcome it. And I've started talking about it as well. I did a post the other day on LinkedIn just saying about the fact that I feel guilty that I'm not at my desk at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Because actually just saying it out loud in itself, I think is therapeutic.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it is interesting, isn't it? I've had people, and you don't necessarily need to change anything then. Once it is vocalized, it seems to ease naturally. I mean, it's quite magical, really, isn't it? When you think of the simplicity of it,
Yeah.
really.
You're essentially giving yourself permission, and by saying it out loud, and like also for me, that accountability piece, like posting it somewhere on LinkedIn, is like, well, I've shared that with the world, it's out there now.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. It's true to me and it's okay. And I do feel in the last week, sort of since posting that, there is less guilt about not
Yeah.
being there at 9 because actually I need to. Well, what I've started doing is reframing the way I define success. Success is no longer working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, which is
Yeah.
what it kind of was in corporate world. Success is now reframed on the great conversations I'm having, the
Yeah.
clients that I'm talking to, the proposals I'm putting out there,
Yeah.
showing up on networking events or on LinkedIn, those kind of things, and really just reframing that is kind of helping tip me away
Yeah.
from the guilt and shame.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I think the reframe is brilliant. And when we can find a reframe that actually feels true, that's very helpful. And you can just be okay feeling guilty. Because I really
Yes.
think that guilt is like a moral compass. And when you were at work, that kept you like guilt keeps us part of the tribe, right? But you
Mhm.
don't need to be part of that tribe anymore. And so it takes a while for us to realize that, oh, okay, I'm only feeling guilty because I really think I should be sat in my desk. But that's not true at 9 o'clock. But that's not true
Yeah.
anymore. So actually, I'm just going to be okay feeling guilty because it's not a factual, it's not based on factual evidence in the world. Like it's not an accurate predictor of the
Yeah.
truth, guilt.
Yeah.
And so
And
actually, sorry, yeah, you were going
no,
to
you
say.
go.
I was just going to say that when we realize that our emotions are harmless and that guilt uncomfortable but actually doesn't us no harm, we can then just be okay feeling guilty.
Mm.
And I think there's
Yeah.
quite a power to that sometimes.
Yeah. And I also think there's something underlying the guilt that is driving that.
Mm.
And when I think about that in this situation, I think the underlying thing is I want my business to succeed. I want it to
Yeah.
be a success. And therefore I know I need to put hours in. I need to do the work. I need to, and so it's not necessarily the 9 to 5 guilt. There's actually underneath that, I think it's more about making sure that I'm, yeah, making a success of the business. And what success used to mean in corporate world was working 9 to 5 because
Yeah.
that's how you get paid. But now the success is different, and it's just going to take time to, yeah, change the way I think about that success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I actually do still struggle with a little bit, you said earlier, like thinking time, when you did your transition from HR to L&D, that was the you had thinking time. That's something that part of my brain is still convinced is completely useless. So it's like, no, no, no. Going back to the hours look like being sat at my laptop. Well, I could be sat at my laptop and achieving absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Or I could go out for a walk, and in that time, my brain's whirring and I'll come up with some amazing ideas. And that time is so much more productive. And yet, the thought of giving myself time to whatever that looks like for somebody, right? For me, it's going for a walk, but it can be whatever for people. But
Mhm.
giving yourself time to like think
Yeah.
is really valuable to your business, but it doesn't look like being sat at a desk at a laptop, which is
No.
completely different to what an office corporate based job would teach you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I mean, I was incredibly lucky at OVO. I had a very supportive team,
Mm.
and they understood the ADHD creativity could take hold at random times.
Yeah.
And so I was incredibly lucky that if, for example, my brain just wasn't working and it was the middle of the day, I could just, if I didn't have a meeting, sort of
Yeah.
say, I just need to do something else
Yeah.
to try and get the dopamine flowing and
Yeah.
stuff. And I would regularly work in the evenings, not because I was working overtime, but because that was the right time for me to be
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And you just take the flexibility and kind of balance it. And
Yeah.
I do feel a lot more workplaces are becoming more open to that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so it's just, so I found it super surprising that then now that I work for myself, I get a bit funny about working in the evenings. It's like that's really odd because you used to do that.
Yeah.
It's all a learning curve.
Yeah, it really is. How would you set your business up? Like, if you literally didn't have to, if we didn't have to deal with that negative bullshit that we all have to deal with, right? How
Yeah.
would you set your business up? What would it look like?
Ooh. I would probably work afternoons.
Mm.
I would be, I don't really eat breakfast, so I'd have a nice brunch, have a lovely walk in the morning,
Yeah.
and then I'd probably start working after lunch,
Mm.
work through until I think I would work through until my brain says enough,
Yeah.
rather than saying I will work from 12 till 5 or like
Yeah.
whatever the hours would be. I think I would kind of go with the flow of where my creativity is and really
Yeah.
lean into that. I
Yeah.
did recently start looking into menstrual cycles as well, in
Yeah.
terms of kind of going with your energy.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, now have a tracking app on my phone. Um, but it's interesting to kind of look at that alongside the ADHD because there's a lot of hormones kind of going on and doing weird
Yeah.
and wonderful things. And there'll be days when it's just like, today is just not going to work for you.
Yeah.
And unless you do have a client or a piece of work that a deadline or whatever, I'd like to start leaning more into that and
Mm.
going more with the energy flow
Yeah.
because I'm going to produce better work,
Yes.
like when I'm in that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
So you said earlier about sitting at the desk and you just stare at the laptop and you're not really doing anything. Like, I'd love to get out of that
Yeah.
and just, yeah, feel confident to be like, well, now's not a good time, just walk away from it.
Yeah.
Come back when you are in flow.
Yeah. And it makes sense to, doesn't it? And I don't think women talk about this. I brought this up in our networking session actually a
Mm.
couple of weeks ago. I don't think women talk about this as much. How our menstrual cycle and the different hormones play different games, right?
Mm.
So estrogen, she's the party girl, she wants to go out and, be everybody's mate. And then progesterone's high, and all progesterone wants to do is sit on the sofa and cuddle. And
Yeah.
so we've got these, and then testosterone sort of weaves in and out. But when you consider, if we had absolute freedom, I would love to be able to set my business up that I did. And where I have a choice, I do set my business up in the sense that, right, if I need to make really bold decisions or I need to do something really courageous, I do try and do that within the first 2 weeks of my month or
Mhm.
my cycle rather than the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks. Because I know the last 2 weeks, if I have to do like a presentation or put myself out there or I'm doing whatever, and of course, my regular clients are always in, but I
Yeah.
just know that if I have to do a big event in that time, it is just going to be slightly more challenging for my body
Mhm.
because my energy just isn't.
Yeah.
And it amazes me. Like 1 minute or one day I could hold the plank for a minute, and the next day I can't even hold it for 10 seconds. Like
Yeah.
it's that dramatic in energies. And
Mm.
I think as working women, it's part of our biology. We can either work with it and learn to work with it, just like a neurodiverse diagnosis, right? We can
Yeah.
learn to work with it, or we can try and fight against it, which is actually just going to make us so much more exhausted.
Yeah. 100%. And I think the awareness of it as well, like the fact that I now have this app and I can kind of track
Yeah.
it is really helpful. And I've noticed a couple of times where it's been a day where I'm like, I'm super productive today. So do you know what? I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And I'm going to think about what could I do today, being in this mindset, that's going to help me next week when I'm not in that mindset.
Yes.
And start thinking about what does future Sarah need? And
Yes.
and that, recently I had a day where I was just my creativity was firing on all cylinders. So it was like, right, okay, I am going to write a month's worth of posts, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe I might look at them on the day I'm going to post them and tweak them a little bit, but I've done the heavy lifting because my
Yes.
mind was in that space.
Yes.
And I think, yeah, as you say, when the freedom allows it and we're not working with clients,
Yeah.
that's something I'd love to do more of.
Yeah. And working with it, I think is so much more powerful than
Mm,
trying to work against it.
yeah. The only downside, the niggle that niggles at me, is the not knowing where the next paycheck comes from.
Yeah.
Um, and that I just think is an underlying bit of pressure that
Mm.
just kind of seeps alongside everything and is
Yeah.
probably where the guilt feeling comes from.
Mm. Do
Yeah.
you have a relationship with God? Do you believe in the universe? Like, are you spiritual in any way?
I definitely believe in some sort of greater power. I've not decided on what that is, but I'm
Yeah.
very much a things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Things will come to you. And interestingly that you brought that up because I was chatting to someone the other day and I was saying there's been so many times where I've just thought, I just need to get a job. I can't do this. And then something has been sent to me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just think the timing of those things, there's definitely something in that.
Yes. Now
Yeah.
I agree 100%. So I personally I don't choose a religion. I'm not religious in the traditional sense. But 100% I believe there's a higher force at play. I choose to see that as the universe, source. Um, but so that's where my spirituality comes in.
Mm,
And the times that, because exactly like you, well, actually 2.5 weeks ago, my husband we were sat down going, we don't actually know how we're going to pay March's bills. Like,
mm,
how are we going to do this? And then 2.5 weeks later, my business has got it covered because of things that have come in. And I had no idea that that was going to come in. So
yeah.
what brings me a lot of comfort is leaning into that faith, whatever terminology, whatever words,
Mm,
whether it's God, universe, spirits, aliens, I don't know, unseen support, angels, like whatever. There's loads of different terminologies out there, but I think it's totally irrelevant. It's being willing to do your part. So we have to show up, right? We have to add value into the world. We have to take some form of action
mm,
fueled by a passion, and then we get to co-create, and the universe then brings things to us
yeah.
that then make it happen. And I think that's when courage comes in, the courage
Mm,
to do what you can and then release the rest to the universe. That takes a lot of faith, a
yeah.
lot of faith. And I think it's interesting. I've lent heavily on that faith and will continue to lean heavily on that faith.
Yeah.
um my husband's still not quite there with it, so then he has a lot more tension because he isn't quite willing yet to release. um
Mm,
but yeah, things do always, something always happens, whether that's
yeah.
you end up getting a job, or an opportunity comes in, or a client signs up, or someone goes, oh hey, I'll give you some money. Like, I don't know, the random shit happens when you're willing to connect to and release to that higher power.
Yeah. And let it happen.
Yeah.
It's it takes me back to so about 4 years ago I was in a lot of debt.
Mm.
And it takes me back to that time and actually um I was sharing my story on TikTok. I mean, I'm 40 in about 6 months, so me being on TikTok is a little bit much, but I wanted somewhere where my friends and family wouldn't find me, and that was
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Where's everyone not? TikTok. I
ex-
used to love TikTok during COVID. I don't do it so
yeah,
much now, but yeah.
and I set up a channel just kind of as an accountability thing, just try and help me pay off the debt. And I would just post videos of like, oh, this week I've managed to put X amount on the credit card to pay that off and all this kind of stuff. And
Mm.
what you were saying about the universe providing, I built up such a lovely community. And I did have people get in touch with me saying, I'd love to support you on your debt journey. How can I send you some money? It was
Wow.
bizarre. And I was so grateful. And then one of the things that I did after I became debt free was I then started saving money because I wanted to pay that forward. And
Yeah.
I was able to support someone else with their debt journey as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I definitely do have that faith that things happen for a reason and
Yeah.
what you put out there will reap rewards for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely has been really interesting over the past 4 months. Every single time that I've thought, should I just jack this in? A day or 2 days later, something. It may not be something paying. It's not maybe not a client, but something has come that's made me go, yeah, I can do this. I can
Yeah.
make this work. And
Yeah.
it kind of feels like there's a force pushing me to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a saying up on my wall down in my kitchen, and it is, oh, hang on, is it going to be able to come to me? I look at it every day. It's something along the lines of, and this is really funny, when you see everything of something every day, you forget that you, but it's something along the lines of when you show up and act with purpose and passion, the universe will bring opportunities to you. And so that just reminds me that I have to show up. Like I don't buy into like the law of attraction where you just sit and do nothing. I'm like, no, you
Yeah.
can't just sit on the sofa and this business is going to magically appear around you. No, no, no. I have to take action. But when that
Mhm.
action is fueled with passion and purpose, I really do then believe the universe
Yeah.
creates opportunities for you. Because why
I think I need a new quote. So mine says, I have to be successful because I like expensive things.
Well, well, yes. I mean, if you want expensive things, you do have to earn money. But well, it depends if it fuels you, doesn't it? If it fuels you, then brilliant. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then it's not gonna work. So I'm curious if you don't mind sharing a bit more about your debt journey. What
Mm.
what was the turning point, and how quickly did you get out of debt once you decided to do so?
Yeah, so the turning point was the realization that I was having to pay for my weekly food shopping on a credit card.
Mm,
That was the kind of wake up call. And at that point, it was also then it's the first time I sat down and actually looked at what I'd been spending. I'd sort of got into this routine of I get paid, the bills go out, and then I just spend whatever I need to do whatever I want to do. And when it runs out, I put it on a credit card. And I
yeah.
just got into that habit. But it got to a point, and when I looked at, I had 8 credit cards at one point. When I looked at the total amount, and I just went, if you keep doing this,
Mm,
things are going to get bad. And dreams at the time of buying a bigger property and all that kind of stuff. It's like none of those things that you want to do are going to happen if you keep spending money the way you're spending it. So that was the turning point. Um, it was about just under £13,000 of debt, all on credit cards that I'd managed to get myself into. And it was just after COVID. COVID definitely exacerbated it. And I think the ADHD played into that, the impulse spending and again, I lived by myself in a studio flat during COVID. So the only excitement I had was when a parcel arrived at my doorstep. So there was a lot of online shopping happening. So it took from the moment that I said, I'm going to stop spending and I'm going to take control, it took me 22 months to pay it off.
yeah.
Um, which was a lot of cutting back, looking actually at what my budget is,
Mm,
working out where are the bills, where am I spending. and thinking, do I need to be spending on certain things? There were certain things I needed to keep.
Yeah.
A monthly nail appointment had to stay.
Yes, as we were
Um,
talking about before we press record. Yes.
exactly. But I was definitely eating out way too much.
Yeah.
I was spending on luxury items that I didn't really need. So yeah, the budget was the kind of the first thing. And that process, as someone who hates consistency, and hates structure, the process of budgeting is something that has stuck with me. And
Yeah.
I do think that that is helping in the current transition because I'm able to really, each month, I still pay myself a salary, even though that's being paid from savings, but I'm sticking to that budget. And
Yeah.
so actually, it's helpful in a way that I can kind of financially forecast when the savings are going to run out based upon the needs that I have each month. So yeah, that kind of discipline, I suppose, that I started when I was trying to pay the debt down has stuck with me and has definitely been like a massive support. And there's a couple of people I was chatting to at our networking, and I sort of asked them like, how do you manage that? And a lot of them say the same. They still pay themselves a monthly set salary. Um, and that kind of helps stay in control and
Yeah.
understand what's going on.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, your relationship with you, which I consider to always be the most important relationship we have in our life,
Mhm.
having gone through that process now, paid off your debt and come out the other side, because I think there's a lot of us that, and I know I fell into this category for a while. We beat ourselves up for getting there in the first place, and we're like, we shouldn't have done that, and we like belittle ourselves and criticize ourselves, and we're just really fucking mean, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having had the maturity to go, actually, this now needs to change. I
Hmm.
need to get. I see it as a financial maturity, and
Yeah.
and come out the other side. What is your relationship like now with you to now that you've taken yourself through that?
There's definitely a lot of pride that I have in myself, having gone through that. And through the journey as well, like I was picked up in some like press and all sorts of stuff. And it was also around the time I was thinking about coaching. And it all just kind of happened at the same time and kind of led me to now what I do, which is I want to support other people. And I think all of what I've been through in the ADHD diagnosis, the debt, like all of those different things make me the person I am. And the person I am as a coach is going to be a super supportive coach to the people that are the right clients for me. So
Yeah.
I definitely have like a lot of pride in it.
Mm.
I think it has very much led me to where I am now. And potentially, if that hadn't have happened, would I be sat here? I don't know if I would be,
Yeah.
because I'd probably still be living paycheck to paycheck and not be in the fortunate position that I am now to have savings in order to set up this business. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going back to that everything happens for a reason. That
Yes.
needed to happen in order to get me to here.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really powerful, isn't it, when we look at it that way, I think.
Mm.
So who do you have an ideal client then? This if someone's listening to this interview and they're like, oh, I really like the idea of Sarah. Who does she work with? Who are you
Yeah.
looking for?
So I work with the square pegs that are tired of squeezing into round holes.
Mhm.
Um, I basically work with anyone who has that kind of nagging feeling in the back of their mind that something's not right. They're not being true to themselves. They don't fit in. I see it a lot in people in the workplace who are maybe being pushed to certain roles, who maybe don't want that.
Yeah.
I have clients who struggle with their company culture and they want to find an authentic way of being able to fit into the culture without letting go of who they are as a person.
Mm.
Um, I do get a lot of the neurodiverse community as well,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of us really, that visualization of being a square peg in a round hole, I think really kind of speaks to a lot of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of kind of the ideal client for me, I think. Just someone
Yeah.
who, yeah, wants to explore that self-awareness, wants to get a deeper connection to themselves, and wants to be more led by their values and more purpose-led in life. But at the moment, they feel like they're performing and they're doing
Yeah.
what they do to get by. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So we will put all of the links in the show notes so that people can follow you and connect with you. Where is your favorite place to hang out?
Like, do you know what? It is LinkedIn.
It is, yeah.
I've become a bit of a fan of LinkedIn these
Yeah,
days. I
I
never
like
thought I
LinkedIn.
would, but I spend a way too much of my time on there. And then Instagram is the other place where
Yes.
people will see me. Yeah.
Brilliant. So we will link those. And do we ever get to see you performing on stage on either of those platforms?
Definitely the Instagram. The Instagram is a lot more of my personal life. So
Mm.
you will meet Bruno and Emmy, who are my two beautiful cats.
Yes. I'm
You will
surprised they
see,
haven't. Who's the one that
I
appeared?
know,
They usually,
Emmy.
one of them usually appears
Yeah,
on a
and
screen.
she also does high fives on demand. So if she
Oh,
had have
does
come
she?
up, we could have had a high fiving cat.
Oh,
But
that would have
I've
been ace.
got I've got no idea where they are.
The time that we want them to show up. They
Exactly. Yeah, Instagram, I post a lot more of my life. So yeah, you'll see the cats, you'll see the renovation. So I'm in a bungalow that is lost in the 60s that needs a lot of renovation. You'll see all the theatre, dancing, that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you want more Sarah the person, go to
Yeah.
Instagram. If you want Sarah the L&D consultant professional, LinkedIn.
Yes. LinkedIn. Yes. Nice. Is there anything that we haven't spoke about that you wanted to address, Sarah?
No, I think we've covered a lot of the pain points that I'm feeling in that kind of transition. I think anyone listening that's going through this or is maybe thinking about wanting to do it, I would definitely say build up your self-awareness before you do it. I think the best thing that I did was have that awareness and I was thinking about, okay, so what do I need to put in place in order to make this a success?
Yeah.
Because the more proactive you can be, the less pain points. You're still going to get pain points.
Yes.
You're still going to have those days of, oh my God, have I made the wrong decision? Um, but if you can go into it with your eyes wide open and like a real deep understanding of who you are as a person and what you need,
Mm.
that's, yeah, that's going to be really good. And that has definitely helped me with where I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Thank you for that. Well, it's been delightful to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome.
Like I said, we will put all of your links in the show notes so people can catch up with you. And yeah, thank you so, so much. I will
Awesome. Thanks.
I will speak to everybody else next week. Bye.